Okay, so this time a second video on addition polymerisation. The first video is showing you how to take a monomer and draw a polymer chain. This video is working in the reverse. So this is where you're given a polymer chain and you're asked to identify the monomer that was used to make this polymer chain. So when you're doing that, the first thing you have to do is identify what the repeating unit is. And then very easily we can turn that repeating unit into the monomer. So when I look at this polymer chain here, I start at the left and I've got a carbon with two hydrogens, then I've got a carbon with a fluorine and a hydrogen. Then I've got a carbon with two hydrogens, a carbon with a fluorine and a hydrogen. And then again, carbon, two hydrogens, carbon with a fluorine and a hydrogen. So I can very easily see that the repeating unit is 2 carbons long. And it's the bit that repeats where I start with my HH on the first carbon and then I go to having an HF on the second carbon. So when I identify my repeating units, so a repeating unit is the section of polymer that, as the name suggests, repeats. And a repeating unit, because of that, must have atoms to show that it repeats along the molecule. So I have my 2 carbons and I have my atoms. And then up here is my hydrogen and my fluorine, and down here are my 2 hydrogens. When it comes to looking at the monomer, now the only difference between the repeating unit and the monomer is the bonding. So when you look at this repeating unit, it's got atoms. The only difference is that the monomer does not have atoms and it has a double bond. So I simply change the carbon to a double bond, no atoms, hydrogen up here, fluorine up here, hydrogen down here, hydrogen down here. So I identify the repeating unit, and to make the monomer, I remove the arms and give myself a double bond. To look at the second example here. So the second example here is, I've tried to make it a little more complicated, but just to show you the principle is exactly the same. So I start from the left and I identify what I have here. I look to the second carbon, identify, and then I make my way along the chain. And again, as you can see, my repeating unit here starts, I've got 2 carbons, and it starts in the one with the HCl and then moves on to this second one here. So again, if I want to highlight my repeating unit is the 2 carbon long with atoms. I've got a Cl down here and an H down here. Up here I've got an H, and all I do is copy that. It could be anything at all. So SH2, CH3. So that there is my repeating unit. When it comes to writing my monomer, remember, all I'm going to do is take these atoms away and make this a double bond. So my monomer has got a carbon-to-carbon double bond in it. Remember, the monomers have to have carbon-to-carbon double bonds in them to be able to perform this addition polymerisation. So simply, I have my SH2CH3, I have HCl, and H. So again, the only difference between the repeating unit and the monomer is the repeating unit has atoms and the monomer has a double bond.